Hello, thank you for being a part of our network. My name is Siphumelele Zondi. Now, drones are a big discussion in many meetings around the world at the moment. There's one developed in Africa as well now. We'll tell you about it in a bit. The UK has little trust of Chinese device manufacturer Huawei. British Prime Minister David Cameron says an internal review has shown his government needs to enhance its oversight of cyber security centre in southern England run by the tech giant. We wonder what that is all about. Social media gets a lot of people into trouble. Nothing was different about it in the last 2 weeks. We'll get to some of those issues just now. Find us on SABC Network on Facebook and Twitter. News Network at sabc.co.za on email. And let's start with your tech and social media news. Google has released its biannual transparency report. The report details government requests to Google for personal user data. Governments from across the world often approach Google in instances they believe users are in breach of local laws. Here's Network's Tele Khaswane with how Google responds to these requests and sometimes even court orders.
Google Search is the most used search engine on the internet and handles more than 3 billion searches each day globally. The searches range from Word documents to images to blogs. People rely on Google for just about everything they do on the World Wide Web. This includes sharing information and videos on YouTube, a video sharing website accessed by billions of people. Like other technology and communications companies, Google regularly receives requests from governments and courts around the world to hand over user data. This is the data of users governments find suspicious or in breach of local laws. Google reserves the right to either comply or decline to hand over personal user data to governments. In its recent transparency report, Google has detailed government requests of the first 6 months of 2013. The report showed that South African government agencies made 3 requests to Google to remove certain user accounts. The requests were mostly related to issues of defamation and copyright infringements. Madagascar and Kenya were the other sub-Saharan African countries to submit requests to Google. Egypt, like 20 other countries in the Muslim world, made 2 requests and 2 court orders asking Google to remove a total of 105 videos from its YouTube platform. The clips refer to the movie Innocence of Muslims. The movie is largely perceived as denigrating the Prophet Muhammad.
I'm watching you. Don't finish it. Gluttonous. I know you are gluttonous.
Brazil, the United States of America, and Germany sent the most requests to Google.
American PR company IAC has fired a corporate communications officer over a tweet that many found racist and offensive. The tweet was sent by one Justine Sacco and suggests that she could get AIDS on her African holiday. IAC handles PR for Vimeo, The Daily Beast, College Humor, and other high-profile companies. In a statement revealing that IAC has fired Justine Sacco, the company said the offensive comment does not reflect the views and values of IAC. All the fuss on Twitter started because of this tweet. In it, the public relations specialist says she is going to Africa and hopes she doesn't get AIDS. Then says she's kidding as she is white, suggesting that white people don't get AIDS. As she was on a flight from London to South Africa, her tweet trended globally. She received a lot of criticism, and there was even the creation of the popular hashtag #HasJustineLandedYet. On her landing in Cape Town, South Africa, she realized she had offended many people, including American actress Kerry Washington. Her Twitter account soon disappeared, and then she opened a new one, which she used to issue several apologies. She then tweeted that she didn't mean the offensive tweets. In the past, a tweet got Macintosh Phalela into a lot of hot water at his old job as Hawk spokesperson for suggesting rapper Joop Joop takes Vaseline with him to prison. Model Jessica Leandra dos Santos lost endorsements for calling a petrol attendant a kefir and then later a monkey. Many African countries don't have the technology to refine their raw material. It is for this reason the continent's raw materials are sent overseas. In Zimbabwe, the government is sweetening the deal for platinum miners to invest and build a refinery in the country.
We have heard the line, Africa needs to beneficiate its natural minerals locally. This requires complex technological know-how and machinery. As a result, Zimbabwe is appealing to foreign-owned platinum mining firms to build a platinum refinery in the country. In return, the firms will own majority shares in their local operations. The government says this is proof of its flexibility regarding its indigenization policy. Beneficiation is important as it adds more value to the natural products and therefore economic development. It is a process of value adding that involves the transformation of primary material to a more furnished product. Such technology already exists in Zimbabwe, such as at this mine owned by Implants.
So much equipment, so much investment has been put here, which has enabled the company to export the platinum matte, which is made up of up to 10 different types of minerals. Bears testimony to the fact that we can in fact establish a base metal refinery. We can in fact at some point establish a precious metal refinery.
The Chamber of Mines says Zimbabwe would need to raise platinum outputs to 16 tons a year to justify a refinery.
The Oxford Dictionary says a selfie is a photograph that one has taken of oneself, typically one taken with a smartphone or webcam. There's one selfie that caused international headlines recently. It was taken at the memorial service of former South African President Nelson Mandela. It involved 3 world leaders, and at least 2 of the 3 have had to explain themselves as a result of this. World leaders had gathered in Johannesburg's FNB Stadium for the memorial service of former President Nelson Mandela when a sideshow made international headlines. It was this photo opportunity by Danish Prime Minister Helle Thorning-Schmidt with American President Barack Obama and British Prime Minister David Cameron. It received a lot of attention on Twitter. Some saying Madiba's memorial service wasn't the right place for them to pull out a mobile phone and take a selfie. Thorning-Schmidt and Cameron have apologized for the picture.
Has the Prime Minister had the opportunity to discuss international mobile phone usage with any other European heads of government in the last day or so?
You could say in a roundabout way, and perhaps in my defence you should always remember that the television cameras are always on, but in my defence I'd say that Nelson Mandela played an extraordinary role in his life and in his death at bringing people together, and so of course when a member of the Kinnock family asked me for a photograph I thought it was only polite to say yes.
It seems the issue here wasn't the selfie, but it was the appropriateness of the event for these world leaders to be taking a photograph of themselves. The last week saw bitcoins lose value. This is because the People's Bank of China is imposing a ban on Bitcoin deposits to the country's currency, the yuan. China's largest Bitcoin exchange company denounced the death of the online currency in the country. China is a big market. Bitcoins are now also used by people who infest computers with a new virus called CryptoLocker. Those that do this then ask for a fee for them to remove it. They sometimes ask for Bitcoins as it is not easy to trace the wrongdoers if they are paid in the digital currency. Wouldn't it be nice if that 50 Rand you forgot in your pocket before throwing it in the washing machine was water resistant? That technology isn't new, and Britain is the latest to give it a try. Who knows, it could be here in future.
First issued by the Reserve Bank of Australia in 1988, modern polymer banknotes, otherwise known as plastic money, are set to be distributed in one of the world's largest economies, the United Kingdom. The Bank of England says this will start in 2016.
They bring a lot of benefits. They're more secure, so they protect us against counterfeiting much better than the existing notes, better technology. Secondly, they're cleaner. They don't suffer from the deterioration we've seen with the paper-based notes. And they're more durable. They'll last 2.5 years as long. That means, or 2.5 times, I should say, as long as the existing notes. That means they're cheaper for the taxpayer and they're also more environmentally friendly.
Plastic money is seen as a possible solution to England's money counterfeit problems.
I think it's good news for the NCA because I think it will reduce the counterfeiters' ability to be able to counterfeit the banknotes produced on the polymer substrate.
Though a new trend for the English, the usage of plastic banknotes is a norm for countries such as New Zealand, Mexico, Singapore, Canada, and many others that use the polymer-made monetary notes as the primary currency.
A Dutch innovator is experimenting with a rather novel idea to help clean the air we breathe. He's using electromagnetic fields to clear the smog that chokes many cities in the world.
Dutch innovator Dan Roosgaard is experimenting with electromagnetic fields. This he's doing to clear smog that chokes many cities in the world. Dan came up with the idea when he was on a business trip to Beijing, at a time when the city was enveloped in smoke. After the trip, Dan discussed his idea with some university professors and scientists back in the Netherlands. He wants to study his theory that static electricity collects dust and creates a big electromagnetic field to suck all the pollutants out of the air.
Where you create a park where this positively ions would create a field which would attract the smog, where you can easily clean it. The tech is there, but only on a smaller scale. We, of course, will make the largest one in the world.
Dan is now discussing the project with the relevant department in Beijing to see whether it is applicable to choose a park and experiment with his new idea. As to the collected airborne particles, Dan is thinking to turn them into something valuable.
Smog exists mostly out of carbon. When you put carbon on a lot of pressure, you get diamond. And with the profit that we make from the purchase of these diamonds, we will use it to create even more clean parks.
Google has bought yet another robotic company. This brings the number of robotic companies in Google's stable to more than half a dozen. But why is Google snapping up these companies, and what are its future plans?
Google is the new home of Big Dog, Cheetah, and a whole bunch of animal-like robots. Google has bought a privately held company called Boston Dynamics, funded by the American military. The company is known for building robots that look like something out of science fiction movie. Google has already bought more than half a dozen robotic companies and could have big plans.
One of them is to automate the production of phones and gadgets that Google would like to make or have others make in order to bring their costs down and enable much more widespread use.
Gillette also says the robots could be used with Google's mapping projects like the driverless cars.
Robots that can go places where wheels cannot go, and those could have a wide range of use, from package delivery to warehouse automation to other kinds of things, perhaps even taking Google's mapping cameras to locations that humans couldn't easily go or wouldn't want to.
Google has the luxury of lots of money, so they can afford to invest in ideas that sound wacky but eventually become reality.
The so-called humanoid robots went head-to-head at an Olympic-like competition held in Miami in the United States of America this week. Producer Lebusi Jage tells us more about this event.
It may look like a typical robot used in big Hollywood movies, but this is one of the special robot humanoids showcased at the DARPA Robotic Challenge at the NASCAR racetrack south of Miami, Florida, USA. These sophisticated robots had to perform various tasks.
The 8 tasks we are addressing here have been derived from disasters like Fukushima, but also from other disasters. In Fukushima specifically, in the first 24 hours, if someone could have went in, the whole escalation of the nuclear catastrophe could have been prevented, but no, humans could not enter because of the high radioactivity.
17 robot maker teams from America, China, Japan and Korea showed that robots can perform a lot of what they are expected to do.
We were able to create this humanoid robot that can go into places where humans can go. If humans can go there, this robot can go there. And that's good for not only this competition, where we want to put the robot into a disaster response situation, but also for NASA in general.
The week's trials will determine which team moves on to the DARPA's robotic finals.
Nigeria has developed a drone. We'll talk about it and other drones when we return. SABC Network on Facebook and Twitter, News Network at sabc.co.za on email.
Good day and welcome to yet another evening of Afro Showbiz News. This show is here to bring you all things art and entertainment. South African film Of Good Report has opened at the London Film Festival. The film caused much controversy in South Africa when it was banned at the Durban International Festival in July. The International Comics Festival was held in Algeria for the first time this week. The event saw illustrators from all over the world come together in the capital of Algiers. Ghana pays tribute to poet Kofi Awonu, killed in the Nairobi Mall attack.
That's Afro Showbiz News, Saturdays 7:30 p.m. on SABC News.
Welcome back. Nigeria has announced that the country has developed its own drone. I suppose the easy way to describe a drone would be to call it an unmanned aerial vehicle. President Goodluck Jonathan says they've named theirs Gulma, a Hausa word for gossip.
This is Gulma, a first Nigerian-developed drone. Gulma has been designed and constructed by a Nigerian Air Force. They hope this will help the country fight terrorism. European Union leaders meeting in Belgium recently also want to launch projects that will ensure the continent has its first drone by 2020 to 2025. In Yemen, some politicians say they don't want drones in their country.
After a series of tragedies caused by drones, Parliament members from all parties believe that drones are putting the nation into an extremely dangerous situation, and it is time to put an end to this.
But analysts say drones are in Yemen to stay.
The Yemeni government cannot fulfill such an act because the drones are designated from American interests. As long as Al-Qaeda still exists in Yemen, American drones will stay here.
These developments show that drones will be a huge part of our future.
Joining us to talk about drone technology and its possible future is digital voodoo high priest Seth Mbele. He is in our Durban studio. Seth, hello and welcome.
Hey, how are you, Spumadad?
I'm all right. Now, how would you describe a drone?
I think your description of a drone earlier on is actually quite accurate. It is an unmanned aerial vehicle which would be controlled by possibly a person on the ground. And the practical applications that we've seen so far have been mostly in the military space, with the USA probably leading the charge. And over time, we're getting more and more commercial applications of drone technology.
And what's their legality in international warfare?
In terms of international warfare, there isn't much legislation that governs where drones can go and what they can't do. What is happening currently is quite interesting, is that within the United States, domestically, they've got 2,000 drones that are flying in and around the United States, and they are currently going through regulatory approval for the FAA to actually look at where and how drones can fly, and if or whether they interfere with commercial air traffic or not.
But they do go to other countries as well.
Yes, of course, of course.
Can you just tell us a bit about that? Like, how would they leave the United States and go to other countries?
In terms of deployment, they would be deployed from a military base. Say, for example, in the Middle East, the United States would deploy drones to go into areas that would be unsafe or where they wouldn't want to put human beings in harm's way. So they would deploy drones either for surveillance or to drop bombs and that type of activity.
Now, how much do we know about Gulma, the drone that was developed in Nigeria?
I think we know very little about Gulma. So the only thing we can really do currently is to draw parallels between the Nigerian program and the American program. What we would assume is that the Nigerians would want to utilize Gulma for domestic law enforcement, as well as to do counter-terrorism measures within the country.
All right. Now, Amazon.com is an online shop, and they're saying they want to use drones. Is this the future?
This is definitely the future, and I think this is getting into a very interesting space, which is the space that I'm in, which would be the commercialization of previously military technology for general usage. What you're going to find happening is that what Amazon is proposing basically is that you can, within half an hour of placing an online order for whether it be books or nice sneakers, within half an hour a drone can be deployed from a warehouse and deliver the package to your door. And I think that presents very exciting opportunities, not just for e-commerce, but basically just opening up the use of drones for other uses such as aid, delivering medicines, and the like.
All right, I think you've touched on quite a lot of stuff in that short space of time. Well, Seth Mbele, Digital Voodoo High Priest, thank you very much for joining us on Network.
Thank you, sir, and have a Merry Christmas.
All right, it's SABC Network on Facebook and Twitter. Let's take a quick break and then we'll return with the PS4.
Please take note of our Christmas break scheduling. Nature on Track will replace View from the House for the entire month of December. Newsroom will take a break from the 23rd of December to the 3rd of January and will be replaced by Shorelines. During the same time period, News at 1 will only be 30 minutes, making way for Africa Journeys. We would like to wish our viewers a Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year. From SABC News Channel 404, all news, all global, all the time.
Now, the PlayStation 4 is the most Googled product of 2013. It also sold 1 million units in 24 hours when it released. We have it in the studio right now. Also in the studio is editor of NAC magazine, Jeff Burrows. He has spent a bit of time with it. Welcome, Jeff.
Thanks for having me.
Is it worth the hype?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the next generation. It's here. It's landed. It looks great. It plays great, definitely.
Now, apart from the obvious difference in terms of what it looks like on the outside, what major differences are there between the PS4 and the PS3?
Well, I mean, pretty much everything, I suppose. I mean, starting from the hardware level, the stuff that's actually inside is more powerful. Sony have brought it up to spec with you know, basically a modern PC. So it can run the latest games with the best graphics at the moment. And also, very importantly, is the new controller. It's been updated, refined a lot so that it's...
Okay, so what's changed about the new controller?
Well, I mean, you can see a couple of things. The analog stick has this concave kind of design now, which means that it's easier to sort of grip. It doesn't, your thumbs don't slide off it. In general, the whole thing has been revamped. It's more ergonomically pleasing. It's better to hold. It feels a little bit heavier, a little bit more durable. And also, it's got this little touchpad on the front, which works for some games that want to use it. It's got full multi-touch facilities. So.
What games have you been playing on it?
Well, mostly Assassin's Creed 4. I mean, it's a game that's available on many platforms, including the PS3, but the PS4 version is much better looking than the PS3 version.
And what other games are, because they're games that are specifically for the PS4.
Right.
Now, what games have been developed specifically for the PS4?
Right, well, at the moment, Sony's two big games that they've made in-house are Killzone Shadowfall and Knack. And Knack is a sort of throwback to the old school Spyro the Dragon kind of Crash Bandicoot era of platforming games, and Killzone is the next in the series of the Killzone series. You know, first-person shooter, a little bit of sci-fi stuff going on.
Since earlier this year, people have been anticipating the Xbox One. Now, I'm just wondering how much you know about the Xbox One and how that would differ to the PS4, and which is better.
Well, I mean, I've played the Xbox One briefly, sort of at various functions, but without really having sort of got my hands on it for a significant amount of time, it's difficult to say which is going to be better. They have actually surprisingly similar internal hardware. The PS4 is a little bit higher spec, but in terms of the actual sort of visuals that you'll get, they're not far off between the two of them.
All right, you know this better than I do, so maybe if you can, just start the game for us.
Okay, cool. Just pop in here.
All right, cool. And the price in South Africa, what are we looking at?
Yeah, the recommended retail price is 6,300 Rand. So it's quite a bit more than a PS3 at the moment. I'd say about double the price. So it's definitely, well, it seems expensive, but you know, I mean, what you're getting is a machine that's going to last you for 5 to maybe even 10 years. You know, so in terms of that investment, it's really not that bad.
All right, and for 6,300 Rand, it's the holiday season, and people are looking for gifts. Would this be the right gift?
Oh yeah, absolutely. If you're trying to buy a gift for someone who's a gamer or looking to get into gaming, it's a great gift.
Yeah, but I'm also hearing that it's not available in South Africa at the moment.
Yeah, it's sold out at the moment. It's sold out pretty much everywhere. There's I'd say, a supply problem generally. I don't know if they underestimated the hype, or if they just sort of knew what the hype would be but couldn't produce enough units in time. I mean, it sold 1 million units on its first day, so...
So you can't find it online. Do you think there are shops perhaps that would have it? Because it is very last minute to Christmas.
Yeah, there'll probably still be a few retail stores that have it. They might have their own sort of bundle deals that they're running as well. But online, I mean, I checked this morning, the major online retailers are out of stock. Add it to your wish list if you want.
All right. Jeff Burrows, thank you very much for being a part of our network.
Cool. Thanks for having me.
All right. And remember to find us on SABC Network on Facebook and Twitter. It's News Network at sabc.co.za. We leave you with a video that makes fun of America spying online. The video has the Christmas theme, and you can find it on YouTube. Type "The NSA is coming to town" when you get there. Bye-bye.
You better watch out, you better not Skype, you better log out, yeah, you better not type. The NSA is coming to town. You're making a list, they're checking it twice, they're watching almost every electronic device. The NSA is coming to town. They see when you are sleeping, they hear while you're awake. They know who you call and who you write, so encrypt for goodness sake. With Congress in the dark and a cloak and dagger court, we're looking for answers and they're coming up short. The NSA is coming to town. They're making a list, checking it twice. They're watching almost every electronic device. The NSA is coming to town. The NSA is coming to town. The NSA is coming to town.
All the latest news from the SABC's online news services on our website. Breaking news and in-depth coverage of everything from business, sports to politics and lifestyle. Catch the top news clips and watch live streaming of major news events on the SABC News YouTube channel whenever. Stay connected on the SABC News Facebook page and have your say on news that matters to you. And for the latest headlines and live updates from our reporters, follow us on Twitter. SABC Digital News, anytime, anywhere.
Hello
Hello and thank you for joining us. You're watching PM News on SABC, coming to you live from Johannesburg. I am Lulu Gabu and these are the headlines. With the festive season gaining momentum, there has been more carnage on the roads. A suicide bomb attack has claimed the lives of 7 soldiers in Benghazi. And after a valiant effort to chase down a world record 4th innings target, South Africa and India reach a draw in the first test at the Wanderers. 2 road accidents have claimed 3 lives in Mpumalanga. Both occurred on the N4 between Malelani and Kapmuden. The accidents have been attributed to driver fatigue.
Yet another road accident. The driver of this minibus taxi lost control and rammed into 2 oncoming bakkies. 2 people died at the scene and 5 others were injured. 2 of them are in a critical condition in hospital.
The other driver with the bumping us, they are coming so very faster on our side, so it's turning very faster. So we did see him very nice really. So we just see something happening.
On the same road, 1 person was killed in another accident. This was a head-on collision between a minibus taxi and a bakkie. Authorities are pleading with motorists to obey the rules of the road and caution drivers to take a break when driving long distances.
As a department, we need to intensify our program where we encourage people to rest after driving a certain number of kilometers because fatigue is a silent killer. Yesterday we were patrolling the roads in Mpumalanga and we realized that people don't want to share the road.